Okay, so maybe we write names.
Oh, it's work study session, order Monday, March 9th, 2026, 6 P.M. The first, roll call please.
Councilman Copeland,
Here.
Councilman Colson,
Here.
Councilman Cordes,
Here.
Councilman Gott,
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman,
Here.
Councilwoman Brown,
Present.
Councilman Phillips,
Present.
Councilman Twitchell,
Here.
Councilman Sutter,
Here being informed, I'll call this meeting to order. Please rise and. Councilman Fox.
My pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda, does any of the council members have any concerns with the agenda? If not, we'll stand as is. All right, council of a whole. We'll do a city update.
Good evening, council, mayor. First I have to ask you guys to apologize for my voice. Currently overcoming that bug that's going around. So I'm gonna jump right into it. I have a couple things to go over, mostly general maintenance. It's getting to that time of the year. Other organizations, state, federal, and money applications and things like that completed. And so jumping right into it, the elevator inspection and library lift are both due for inspection. We have that scheduled. One way for confirmation for their schedule, and then we'll have that completed, and I'll update the council when that inspection has been done. And then for street and grounds, for the special session after this, I'm proposing the purchase of a new street sweeper. I can take questions now and or later regarding that. A couple other projects that we have going on in reference to the streets and grounds, getting kind of trying to tie up some small loose ends before we jump into our massive road repaving project this summer. The first one is a sidewalk uncovering kind of / crosswalk project. So a couple weeks ago, I was able to visit with a class at the middle school, and they expressed some things that they'd like to see the city do. And one of those was they were like a designated crosswalk across Georgia to for them to safely walk back and forth. Something small, and so in the process of that, we were looking for exactly where they would be able to come across to, right there in front of County Market. Clinton was able to help me. We went out to in front of County Market, and then later I was able to confirm this. Councilman Cordes gave me a call. There's actually a sidewalk under about 6 inches of dirt on the west end of town, particularly in that area in front of County Market. So we'll be working to dig that up. It's not going to be the prettiest. It's been underground for only God knows how long. But it'll be a non-grass, non-dirt, safe place for students to walk when they come across that street and they make that cross across Georgia. Riverview mowing contract. So it's that time of year where the contract with Fidencia Lawn Care is going to be up. Just seeking permission to go out and seek bids from the council. In reviewing that contract, I spoke with our street and ground supervisor, Clay. And we believe that it would be a better use of our time or of our, efforts and our manpower if we were to remove Memorial Gardens from that contract. It was listed on there last year, and switch it out for Wallace Park. Wallace Park involves a little bit more technical mowing and weed eating and a little bit more attention to detail. And not to say that Memorial Gardens doesn't, but it's just a lot of Memorial Gardens is unoccupied, and so we're able to just mow, and the good fortune it's a field. And so that would be the changes made to that when going out and seeking bids. That contract for reference does expire on April 12th. And then the final thing, or one of the final things I have in street and grounds, is I was able to purchase street signs. I mentioned this a couple meetings ago, and I had sent an email out, I believe, last week regarding this purchase. So we have a stock above on the only portion you consider the second floor, the only portion you can consider the second floor of our street and ground shop, where we keep a bunch of signs in stock. And so that if someone hits it or just anything happens to a sign, we have a certain number that we keep in stock. So that should something happen, we're able to replace them without any issue. So we were currently 48 signs below what we were supposed to have in stock for our our emergency route. And so normally these signs, they cost about $80 to $100 each. There's specific standards that are needed from the Missouri Department of Transportation. We were able to meet those standards and get new signs for about a third of the cost. I did some internet sleuthing and I found a place that we can get them from. And I just sent an email regarding this. I believe the amount was about half of what we would have paid, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And so the total cost for those street signs came out to, after shipping, $2,012.30. The total for the signs, the 48 signs, $1,957.23. Again, that's just to ensure that we have a proper stock of these signs in-house in case something happens. We're able to replace them without upsetting any traffic routes. Next, more on the ground side, there is new gravel at the Wallace Park track, and the bathrooms are being fixed at all parks. And so kind of what that looked like was we had one of our men go out and place new gravel along the entire track at Wallace Park, and they took the roller out and compacted the rock down so that as summer's rolling in, it's getting nicer out. I know I've been going on 9-day walks. It's very refreshing to be able to get out and not freeze. And I know Wallace Park is a place that a lot of people like to do that. So we graveled that track. As I said, bathrooms at Wallace Park and all other parks are currently being fixed. The street grounds guys are coordinating with Clinton and the Enterprise to fix those various water leaks or anything that may have busted over the winter. Then new gravel at Memorial Gardens. Similar to what we did at Wallace Park, we went out there, we laid down new gravel. There are portions of it that still need to be fixed. And then we're also going to take the roller out there and compact that. Just because the old gravel had been very worn down. And again, it just wasn't a very interesting site to look at. And then at Memorial Gardens, probably the most exciting thing on this, the sign that indicates that it is a cemetery and not just an empty field. It's set to go back up in the coming weeks. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, I got a question on the bathrooms.
Yes.
Are those just usage, wear and tear repairs? Or are we dealing with another vandalism thing like we did a year or so ago when the bathrooms were being trashed and people going over baseball bats and busting up the toilets and all that?
Of course. So we have experienced some of that vandalism over the winter. I will say, I know at one point the hinges were off the doors at Lincoln Park, Wallace Park. And so there has been a little bit of that vandalism. They are fixing that, but most of this was just pipes that may have busted over the winter and things like that. But we have experienced some of that vandalism, but it's actually not the bulk of what we're fixing.
Are those ceramic toilets in there?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, because I was at a park in Bowling Green here a few weeks ago. They have steel toilets in there.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be a solution to keep from people going in there and tearing that stuff up.
That's something we can definitely look into.
Steel toilets and steel sinks.
And that would obviously limit the amount of damage you can do with the good old Louisville bat. So we can look into that as they're fixing them. And I will.
I've got 3 of them. You guys want
Okay.
them? 2 in the basement jail cells, and there's 1 in the fire station.
I will. Thank you, Clinton. I will coordinate with Director Keller and get that fixed. I will say, unless the council would like me to take this approach, and I'll just ask here, if the toilets aren't damaged, do you want me to go ahead and still look into replacing them so that they're not eventually beaten with a bat or worse?
I would think, I don't know about you guys, my thought is just replace them as needs. It would be a lesser cost.
Good idea. The cost, yeah,
Yeah.
what I was getting to say, depending on the price and, yeah.
Have them in stock.
I think
If
there's a
someone
lot.
vandalizes the toilet, then replace it with steel.
Okay.
That would be my thought.
In that case, yeah, I will coordinate with Director Keller. I'll get some pricing on this and then I'll report back at the next regular council session. So, any other questions? All right, I'll see you guys in like 10 minutes.
Update.
What if it's the combo too? They're about $1,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kyle with Cornwall Enterprise, the water treatment plant. So for the basement rehabilitation, Robert, Miko Engineering, Martin Construction, and myself did a walkthrough on the basement. We had a few things that we had some discrepancies with, some overspray on the walls, the base on the high surface pump that needed to be painted. There was a packing that was leaking on it. They've got it fixed, and there was some other little minor things that needed to be done. They were there, got all those completed and painted. So once they get us an invoice for all that work, we'll get that invoice paid and clear that out of the system. Generator replacement. So it's kind of just still on hold as of right now. I know that Jeff Sitzeball's done quite a bit of work on getting it. Some plans and put together and talk to Ameren and things like that. So as of right now, we're just kind of in the planning stages of it. The raw water intake telemetry and the Clearwell level sensing upgrade, we both approved those at the last council meeting. They have been ordered. They did not give us a timeline on when those parts will be in, but they're usually fairly quick. Once they're in, they get them piece here fairly fast and gets them done, taken care of. The UV system upgrade for the wastewater plant is installation date is March 17th and the 18th. So next Tuesday and Wednesday, they're going to be here to get that completed. Roof and HVAC replacement, we ran, that's for the wastewater plant. We ran that in the newspaper, I think for a month. I have to look at the exact dates. We stopped accepting them on March 2nd. And on March 6th, we opened them at 1 p.m. downstairs publicly. I will say there was a bid for the HVAC system and one for the roof. The HVAC system had 3 different options. We wanted some different options, either to replace the current roof mounted system or go with an internal. They priced us with a roof, more of a commercial indoor style one, and then mini split units. And they all range from 18,200 to 19,900. As for the roof, there was 2 options for it. One option was to not do a complete tear off and just do membrane over what's there. It was $55,000 roughly, and to do a complete tear off was about $115,000. As of right now, I'm not going to act on it. I'm not making any decisions just yet. We may sit on this and run it again and try to get more involvement from contractors to get more comparative pricing.
Are these local firms that bid on it? Did you reach out to like St. Louis or somebody?
So I actually called several. I called the Partain Roofing, the Bodie Allen, I talked to them. I talked to a place in New London, a place in Hannibal. And they all said they were going to turn them in, but the Partain Roofing was the only one that actually turned one in. As for getting down to St. Louis, I didn't push it too much. I wanted to try to stay local to keep the.
Yeah, I understand that. I
Local.
appreciate that.
That's another reason why I want to. We're probably going to lean toward running it again and now branch out farther
Okay.
for more better comparative pricing. For distribution, still working on the list of sewers that need attention. It's a lot to go through. There's a lot of video footage, a lot of information, a lot of minor hairline cracks, a lot of major issues with our sewer main. So just kind of putting that together slowly to make sure we get it done correctly. Meters, the guys, they just did meter reading 9 days ago. There was about I think it was 110 that had to be reread. As they're going through this process, I know I've talked about it for a couple of different meetings. It's very lengthy process to do. They've been taking and drilling holes in the meter lids to get the endpoints up through the top to allow for better reception as they do the drive-bys and things like that. It's all recommendations from the manufacturer so we can get better reeds out of them. So they're just slowly getting this stuff done. They got to go take 5, go to the shop, drill them, and then switch them out. Otherwise, we'd have to buy a whole bunch in order to get that done. The shop replacement, haven't done too much more with it. To be honest with you, I've been working on next year's budget, and I want to make sure we're going to be able to do the other more important infrastructure or capital improvement things that we need to do before I jump straight to replace the shop. So as of right now, I'm kind of on hold until I can get a budget together and see where we lay with it. Street repair, to just kind of keep this for the council to know, the Mid Rivers is when they're here patching or paving all the other streets, they've agreed to patch that Georgia Street crossing where we had that major water main break at no cost. So once they get here, they said they would schedule that day and then we would go dig it, prep it, and then they would just come right behind us and immediately pave it. Sewer main replacement on South 5th Street. So we've got the pipe in. The crew actually started sawing the streets. We're waiting on cables, AT&T and Charter to do their locates. And once they're done, we're going to start digging it. The street's already been cut and it's ready to go. It's just ready. We're just waiting on locates as of right now. And fire hydrant flushing. This will actually start next Monday, March 16th. That went out to the radio and on Facebook today to let the public know. If nobody's aware, or if you're not aware, I would expect water discoloration. You could have pressure drops, things like that while they're doing this. It takes about 2 weeks to do. They'll start from the east side of Louisiana, work their way west, and there's about 247 fire hydrants. And at a minimum, it's about 15 minutes a hydrant. So there's a lot of water that gets put out. So that's all I have for enterprise.
Any questions for something? When's our scheduled public hearing?
March 23rd at 5:30, just before the council meeting.
Which one's that?
For the water rates.
Oh, okay.
Thank you much. So, cell phone, air lease for, US Cellular, which it's now, under a new name, we should be closing on that on the 20th. So that's the $185,000 lease for that, renewal for that property perpetual,
How much?
185
Closing on 20.
on this month, March 20th. Alright. Streets distribution. Cameron, have we got any feedback from Mid Rivers? Are we still looking at mid-March, 1st of April?
We're looking at, I believe early April at this point. I haven't heard, they haven't given me a direct, response on when they're going to begin their work. I'll follow up with them.
Yeah, we saw them in town a week or so ago, getting everything lined
Okay.
out, like.
They were supposed to let me know when they got us on their schedule when they finalized it. But I'll follow up with them.
I spoke with him a week and a half ago about the paving on that patch and then 5th Street. And he said as long as the rain holds off, they plan on being here the end of March, first week of April.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
All right, infrastructure, ground, streets, sidewalks. Let's go ahead and talk about the street sweeper right now. What did we end up getting from our old street sweeper from the insurance proceeds?
Do you want to come back up there?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I apologize. Yeah, why use up?
Come on.
I didn't see you get up. Yeah.
So the question was, how much did we end up getting from the insurance proceeds?
Yeah.
$19,600. I have a small caveat to add to that, which was we did have to pay to have the old one like removed and towed away, and that was $1,200. So we're looking at $18,400.
18.
We had to pay for it?
Yes, I believe they reimburse it. I asked the insurance agency. I haven't received a response, but we did have to pay for the different like remove it initially at least.
But we are gonna get reimbursed for it.
That was my question to them, yes, to the insurance.
Because if, I mean, if we pay for it, we probably should have a choice of who we hire to do the work, I would think.
I would think as well. Now, I know with, we'd experienced this with another thing, it might have been the beginning of this, where the insurance, they don't, or like say, State Farm, Progressive, or whoever it is, they only have certain ones they will work with. And it kind of takes, we kind of lose the choice when we sign a contract. It may be that.
Well, if they're paying for it, they can hire whoever they
Of
want.
course. And so I did ask for clarification of that, and I don't have an answer right now directly. But we did, yes, initially, have to pay for it to be removed.
So, you may not have the history on the street sweeper. What year did we acquire that?
I don't know what year we acquired it. I'm gonna ask. And do you know? Sorry, I put you on the spot.
I think it was 2017, 17, 18.
So we purchased that used, it is already approximately 17 years old.
Mhm.
And since 2017 until the past 3 or 4 years, it wasn't utilized a whole heck of a lot because of issues with it being a used street sweeper. In fact, it's probably been used more in the last 3 years than it has in the last 10 years.
I'll actually build on that and say that they actually did have to do some maintenance to it when I first arrived here in Louisiana. One of the things I asked was, can we start doing regular street sweepings? Do we have a street sweeper? And they said yes. They had to do some maintenance on it before they were able to get it up and going. And the week that it had been up and going, so it went up. I think I announced back in January that they were going to begin regular street sweeping. They did for I believe it was a week or two, and then there was some snow. It was impractical to do it. They got it back out after the snow initially melted. It broke again, and it wasn't like a massive issue. Just maybe a belt snapped here, or it was sounding funny. They wanted to look at it, make sure no one got hurt when operating it. And so when they actually got it back out, it had been running for about, I think, third day in a row, and it overheated is what caused the fire to start. And so it wasn't utilized. And in the end, us attempting to utilize it at such an old age is what led to it.
Do you remember what we gave for that street sweeper used? I got a number in mind.
Like 25,000, but I don't.
Okay, well, it's a lot, that's a lot less than what I was thinking. But I do know every time we used it, it requires maintenance before we even actually use it, so.
You gotta feed the squirrels who run.
Yeah.
I would say that, well, I wasn't here when it was originally purchased. And looking, because I have looked at youth street sweepers, I even spoken with some other administrators, other city managers regarding what it would be to contract our street sweeping out. And I just think it's practical. And I'll address that right here. With contracting out for similar sized towns, mileage of roads, we have about 40 miles of roads that would be re-sweeped. It would come up to about $2,500 per pass. Now, some cities that aren't right next to the Mississippi River don't get as heavy snowfall, and that utilize other methods of snow deterioration, like salt or like superheated water, to get rid of their snow. It's more feasible for them to use. We use chat, which is just really fine rock. That with us being next to the river, with the silt, things constantly blowing in. I don't think it's feasible for us. We ended up spending in 2 or 3 years the amount that streets sweeping costs. That's just to buy outright. So.
Okay. So I know we're gonna have a resolution coming up and stuff. What have you looked into? And what are you gonna be recommending?
Yes. So as I stated, I have looked into possibly contracting it out to see if that could save us money. I've looked into the possibility of buying another used one. I will say, building off of estimated cost, I guess I wasn't here when it was originally purchased. $25,000 seems a little bit steep for a 17-year-old street sweeper based on what I've seen and looking through Missouri and federal surplus. And so I do believe that the one I'll be recommending will be a good, a quality deal for our citizens to get the most out of their money in the long run. It is the street and ground supervisor and I's intention that this street sweeper will run 4 to 5 days a week. And given that it is, it's never done that before, with routine maintenance, we should be able to more than get our money's worth out of it. In terms of actual financing for the street sweeper, I looked at 3 different banks. I looked at Central State Bank in Pleasant Hill. I looked at Northland Capital, and I believe it's called Northland Financial. Northland Financial was an individual who just happened to come into my office probably about a month and a half, 2 months ago. He said, "Hey, we do financing for municipalities. If you ever need anything." I took a folder, put it on my desk, and then 2 months went by. Turns out we needed it, so I contacted him. They offered a 5-year and a 7-year lease at a little over 4% interest. It came out to, I'll do this off the top of my head, about $305,000 at the full payoff date, should we go to the full term. The other options were similar. Northland Capital was, I believe, 3.98%, I believe, off the top of my head. 3.98%, and it came out to just under, it was $299,000 after the payoff. And then Central State Bank, which is actually the one I'm recommending that the council go with, came out at about 4.875, I mean, percent, and it came out to about 300. I misspoke a moment ago. I apologize. Northland Capital was 277. I'm sorry. Northland Capital came out to $297,000 after the interest rate at full payoff. Central State came out to about $299,000 at 3.875% interest after the full term payoff. Central Bank also offered us something that the other 2 banks did, which was a 10-year leasing fee, which of course would lower that payment per year. However, it is my intention to budget to pay this off in 5 years, so that should an act of God occur that isn't covered by the insurance, that we will have it paid off and we'll own it outright. Because I believe we can certainly get more than 5 years of use out of this piece of equipment. And so the one I'm actually recommending is about $2,000 more than the cheapest option, which was Northland Capital. I'm recommending that more because they're local. We've done business with them in the past. And to be honest, they were just the nicest ones to work with. I did reach out to both banks here in town. I didn't receive a response in time for this meeting. But the other 3 I did work with, Central Bank and Pleasant Hill, they were the best to work with. And so that's what I'll be recommending the council go with.
Is this street sweeper, this is a new one or is this a used one?
This is a new one, and I will take this point to point out. So normally it's a 2025 Schwarzy street sweeper. Normally when getting a piece of equipment like this, we'll have to wait 5 months to a year for them to custom build it. This one, it's already built. They've already brought it to us. I've actually been inside of it, and then we can come out and do a day of training with us and all of our crew out there. So this one is ready to go and ready for us, but it is a new machine, yes. Yes, sir.
Would we by chance look into leasing it? Where they take care of all the maintenance and everything else? And because you're talking about 60 grand a year, top of my head.
Yes, sir.
But possibly leasing them. Have we looked at the price of leasing?
I have not directly looked at the price of leasing one. I would assume, based on conversations I've had with Woody Spot Municipal, that we would have to wait for, because they take this one to different locations to kind of show off. Now it doesn't time or anything like that. It is just a showpiece.
Demo.
Yeah, it's a demo. It runs the same as a regular manufactured one, but I assume to lease one we'd have to wait another year, 5 months to a year for them to build it.
Well, I understand that, but the other thing is, I saw this truck, and the truck has cameras and everything else at the bottom to show everything.
Yes, sir.
Because it's a left-hand drive. Have we looked at by chance a right-hand drive because them cameras are where you can't see them. If they get knocked off, are we replacing them or are they replacing them?
So it does come with a warranty. I haven't delved into the specifics of that warranty yet, but it does come with a warranty. I believe it's the length of the term.
Because the only reason I say that, I see a lot of right hand, because you're only on the right hand side.
Yes.
That's where you drive. But if you're on the left hand side, you can't see the where you drive.
Yes. I know there was a great deal of those cameras that would kind of cover up some of those blind spots that you might have. And I think the intention with having it, if I remember correctly,
Well, the big reason I say that is because they're cameras.
Mhm.
Once the dust starts flying and everything else, can you see them?
So I actually was able to take a test drive in it with the gentleman from Woody's Municipal, and I found it very interesting actually how it worked was on either side of the broom and the vacuum, there are almost pressure washers that try to limit the amount of dust. And so we went up a hill just behind the hospital, and picked up a great deal of chat, and we actually didn't run into that problem with the dust picking up. It did behind the truck, like immediately behind it, and maybe for I would say maybe 150, 100 feet. But in terms of being able to see with those cameras, I didn't experience that issue that day.
Question, is this I'm confused now. This is nothing like the old one we had. This is a truck?
No, yes.
Yeah, could you explain that to us? Because
Yeah,
this is the first I've heard this.
I apologize. I didn't.
I'm thinking the old Gulls street sweeper.
Yeah, so this is a completely different model. It looks nothing like the street sweeper that we used to have, the 2000 Pelican. I would say it's about 3 times as big. It's definitely twice as long. Trying to figure out how to describe it. It's about 30 feet long and 10 feet tall. And I do have, to clarify, I do have the specifications for this. They're actually down in my office. And I will forward them for clarity and specifics reasons. I'll forward them to the council after this. But it is a full body truck. I would say it's about the size of a small fire engine. Is that a fair assessment?
So what it is it's an Isuzu cab over truck. It's a non-CDL unit, which means it's below the 29,000 pounds. It doesn't, right now, like the current unit we have, you're required to have a CDL. This one doesn't. It's a non-CDL. It's just more of a truck function. It's got 2 brooms to go out on the side. It's a regenerative air, so it actually is like a vacuum cleaner versus what we have now is a broom that switches to a conveyor belt and dumps it in the chamber or the canister. This is actually like a vacuum. So lengthwise, I'm saying it's probably about 20 foot.
I mean,
It's standard truck, I mean, it's nothing bigger than
So something similar to like, you ever seen those you got junk trucks? Is it something similar to that?
I haven't. I don't. It's not
Or
yet.
a truck where you put a dumpster on the back of it, that kind of size?
Yeah. Maybe, but
Okay. Looks like
So
a
this-
waste management garbage truck is what it
So
looks
this is, it also has correct me if I'm wrong, it also has a boom to where it can vacuum up,
Yes.
the gutters and stuff too.
I was looking forward to talking about this one. So thank you, Clinton.
Thanks, fun.
And I will say through this process, Clinton has been phenomenally helpful. This is my first equipment acquisition, and for me to just shout out to him. So just to repeat your question, does it have a boom on the side of it or something to use to go into gutters and storm drains? Yes. On both sides of it, there is essentially, this is how I had to describe it to my wife. On the vacuum, you have the cord you pull off and you can get into like tight spaces. It essentially has that on both sides. And when discussing this with our street and ground supervisor, currently taking the time out and going and cleaning the storm drains takes, if you want to do the entirety of Georgia Street, it might take a day or 2 with 2 or 3 people. Now, as we're cleaning the street at the same time, without losing any of the pickup power, on either the boom or on the sweeper itself, we can have someone walking, of course, in their vest, walking along on the sidewalk, and they can clean up the storm drains as we're cleaning the streets. And even if we weren't doing it at the same time we're cleaning streets, and we were just doing it just to clean drains, it would take a task that takes 2 to 4 people 2 days. 2 people could do it in a morning or a day. And so, yes, it does have those abilities to hopefully improve how well we can clean the storm drains, and also definitely how quickly we can clean the storm drains.
The non-CDL license seems like a pretty big deal too.
Yes, and to me, it seemed minor. I wouldn't have brought it up otherwise. Again, thank you, Clinton. It doesn't require a CDL, whereas our current unit or our previous unit did require. And so I had alluded to this a little earlier. Woody's Municipal Supply will actually come out with us and do an entire day of training, ask all of our questions, no matter how dumb they are, and they'll answer them, and make sure that each person has time in the sweeper, correcting potential mistakes they may immediately have, questions about it, and then of course anyone that we hire that possesses a normal driver's license can operate this piece of equipment.
I got a few more questions. So is this piece of equipment, is it state bid?
Yes, it is. I was informed it was state bid. I went ahead Friday and I confirmed with Woody's Municipal Supply it is state bid. I know there had been some issues with that in
Do you
previous.
have a state bid spec sheet on that?
I do not.
So, okay, my second question. $245,000, $300,000 piece of equipment. Do we have a place to store it inside?
We can put it in the lower shed. Currently, we had intentions of storing the previous street sweeper, the 2000 Pelican, in the shed, and there were other pieces of equipment that it's not as essential for them to be put up. And I'll just speak freely here. It wasn't necessarily I don't want to say worth it, but it wasn't a high priority to put the other one up. But we did have the intention of doing it should we needed to. And with this one, we start again.
I assume this thing holds water, right?
It can.
So I know we, in the previous street sweeper, we had issues of it freezing up because there's left with water in it, and everything like that.
Yes.
So that's a concern I have.
Yeah.
$245,000 piece of equipment, like a fire truck, you wouldn't want to store it outside.
Of course. It also, I will say, it also has a system on it that allows it to flush where all the air goes or where all the water goes to prevent that from happening after each use. Again, that goes just along with proper maintenance, for which when they're there for that day, they discuss the proper maintenance techniques. And then of course, Woody's Municipal Supply is always a great resource for us to reach out to, and should we have any issues with the specifics of maintenance.
Unless you're prepared to go in special session for this resolution, I'm going to advise to cancel the special meeting for the resolution. The reason being is I'd like the council, when they're making a big purchase like this, have the bid specs in front of them from the state.
Okay.
Picture of the piece of equipment and its capacities and everything. I also would like a breakdown specifically of the various financial, institutes that you went to, and do a comparative on a table for us to look at it. And then ultimately, on whatever the recommendation is, to vote on it, we actually need a copy of the lease purchase agreement to vote on it. We can't vote on it without the contract. We gotta have the contract in front of us. And I really would push, I do know Hannibal National Bank probably cannot compete because of the type of corporation it is with People's Bank and Trust. But since they are local, I mean, we need to kind of bend over backwards and let them throw their hat in the ring with something. Unless the council has any objection to that, I would recommend canceling that.
Yeah, two things. Okay, now I will address that. First of all, my biggest concern is I've done the math and, I'm not Einstein here, but we're financing almost $230,000 for the street sweeper. How are we gonna service the debt?
So it was going to come out, I was going to budget it in our large equipment, for the additional years. It would of course take away from projects, from large projects, over the next couple of years. And there's no other way to put that.
To answer your question better, we retired debt last year. We retired debt for the fire truck, we retired debt for the police vehicles. I won't bring up the enterprise stuff because we can't enable that stuff, but we did retire those.
Right.
And so this would almost fill that void that that we created. It's not really a void. We're above water.
You're filling a hole back.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Digging the hole.
I got choked on that number.
As did I.
And I understand the fact that we need the street sweeper. What I would like to do is make a motion to postpone.
We're in a work study session.
Okay, well, then I would like us to consider, if we have to vote on it, that's fine. I don't feel like I have enough information yet to be able to intelligently deal with this. So I'd like to put, another month, one way or the other. This is gonna make that big a deal, especially when you're talking about that kind of money. I'd like to see the financing options laid out. I'd like to see the spec, I'm voting on something I don't even understand.
Of course.
Yeah, we got a regular council meeting in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I have all the information. I can lay it out in an organized fashion, present to the council along with the contract, and detailed breakdowns of the purchase or of the purchasing specifications. So
Yeah, I mean, if this is a $10,000 valve,
that's
we're talking $4 million.
Yeah, and we, just for future reference, we won't wait till the night of to get that contract out. We need to get that contract out. Because it takes a little bit to read through it. I don't understand it, so.
Is there anything other state bid specs? I'm gonna photo of it again. Breakdown of financing and lease purchase agreement, and I will do my best to get People's Bank and Trust to submit financing options. Is there anything else I can
I'd
prepare?
like a copy of all the financing, so we can do a side-by-side comparison.
Yeah, because I think our normal operating expenses, we freed that up over the last year.
Yeah,
So I think that on the budget side, it's a budgetable item.
Yes, I can say our normal operating expenses will
Yeah.
cover it.
honestly, I'd like to keep the business in not only local, I'd like to keep the business in the state.
I agree. And like I said, I will do my best to get them to submit a bid again. Or financing.
Well, so the type corporate, the way it's been explained to me by their bank president, their corporation does not receive any type of tax credits or benefits for a tax exempt status. I can't quote exactly what type they are, if it's type S or type C. I believe they're type C corporation, whereas People's Bank and Trust is a type S. I may have it all backwards, but basically they can't, they know if they bid on it, they're gonna lose compared to any other bank with the type S corporation, so. We can get one from Hannibal National, but they don't even wanna go through the exercise of presenting it, because they already know. They don't do a lot, Hannibal National don't do a lot for municipalities.
Can we reach out to somebody like Old Monroe or somebody like, if we have to broaden that a little bit?
So Pleasant Hill's real good. People's Bank and Trust is real good, and we can reach out to the others.
Yeah, I just wanna keep the business in the state if we can do it.
Of course, yes. Is there anything else I can prepare to present at the next council meeting?
I think, yeah, just lay it out there for us, so there's no questions.
Okay, I can do that. Again, I have all the information, I can get it typed up, and I will send it over well in advance of the next council meeting, so there's plenty of time to review. And then should anything else arise, please reach out and. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, public safety. I'm gonna ask, go ahead and ask, the chief to stand up and go over this proposed ordinance protecting people talking. 205.
Okay, thanks.
This is for the fire. Yeah.
That's sorry.
Public safety, I will say one thing, one of our new cameras has been installed. By the four-way by the bridge, and two more are gonna be installed this week, and the remaining 2 the following weeks.
Have y'all had any hits already?
But not yet. Not yet. But we also did submit our application for Blue Shield again this year, so. Should hear back from that. All right.
All right.
Very
So. Been doing a lot of research on chapter 205 for the fire department under our city ordinances. And I've been kind of comparing them to other municipalities around us. And basically our fire department ordinances, they just really just don't exist. It's very vague. Going through it, I realized that we don't even have an appointment or qualifications or anything for a fire chief. There's no duties of fire chief, but in our current city ordinances, it talks about the assistant fire chief and what their roles are, what their duties are. So basically what I've done is, this is very comparative to Bowling Green. It's actually verbatim for Bowling Green. I just had to change some things to meet what our existing our existing ordinances and things like that are. The other side of this is we have no way to enforce or hold people accountable. There's no way to enforce. We have bylaws, we have things like that, but this basically incorporates, puts all that together.
Hold who accountable.
Like members of the fire
Oh,
department.
okay, you
things
said
like that.
people.
Yeah, sorry, like members of the fire department. So going through this, it just kind of shows the creation of the fire department, and going into the next section, the fire chief, the appointments, qualifications. The next section is duties of fire chief. The appointment of the deputies, which is or officers in this case, which would be assistant chief, captains, lieutenants. Then we go into the responsibilities of the officers. So it shows what the responsibilities are of the assistant chief, the captains, and the lieutenant. Going on to the powers of fire chief and the officers during a fire. So what their roles on scene are and things like that. Members of the department. It's just kind of going through nothing more than what we've already had implemented, but codifying it to where it's in black and white in our ordinances. 18 years of age, driver's license, things of that nature. How far you can live from the station, capable of performing the duties and so on. Application and appointment of membership. It's how people would get applications and become a member of the fire department. Just member resignation principle. And then we go into our meetings, 3 regular meetings and trainings. So we actually have, it's 3 regular meetings and trainings, because we may opt out on a meeting and have a training. So we, on the first, third, and last Wednesdays of every month, we have I don't want to get you confused. The first and third Wednesday, we have a training. The last Wednesday is a meeting. Sometimes if, like Buffalo, they invite us, they have things going on or Bowling Green, vice versa, just whatever we need to do. Sometimes we may opt out on having that meeting at the last of the month to go do a training somewhere and things like that, to meet other departments' training days. Responses to incidents. So it just basically says, every member of the fire department will respond and have proper personal protective equipment or PPE issued by the fire department. We issue all that, but we need something that says this is what you're going to wear. It's nothing more than being safe on the fire ground. Compensation. So this just matches exactly what we currently do. Items 1 through 7. $13 meeting trainings, $13 for work sessions, and then $13 for meeting or calls, incidents. And then there's a salary portion that we've always done for the officers, the fire chief, assistant chief, captains, and lieutenant. And I had to adjust those to match what we currently and have always done. Destruction of property. It just says it should, basically saying that won't deface or destroy property belonging to the fire department, just puts it in black and white. Section 205.080. This is nothing more, and it actually may be in our ordinances under the code enforcement, but this is nothing more than putting it in with the fire department to matching the RSMOs for the 911 addresses to be on properties. And then standard operating procedures or SOPs, where the fire department has their own set of SOPs that we go by.
So, It's an ordinance form, I can help with that, or Mary can help with, I think, an ordinance form. Cause we'll have to repeat on what we currently have, cause this is a complete replacement, right?
Yes, and I encourage all council members to look at what we currently have versus what I'm presenting here. You're gonna see a big difference.
This is superior improvement to what we have.
The only concern I have, just going over it right now, is the term deputies.
Yeah.
There's
I agree.
no, so appointment of officers. I mean, if there's a deputy, there's only one deputy fire chief.
Well,
But if you use term assistant chief, so it's kind of intermingled, so I've used term officers.
and under the section 205.040, it says appoint up to 5 deputies or officers. So I did put that label in there, but each probably could just be all the way around labeled as officers. I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, because unless, some departments use an assistant chief, a larger municipality there's only ever one deputy chief on any department. Unless it's a deputy chief of EMS or a deputy chief of inspections or a deputy chief of heavy. But typically, there's only one deputy chief and multiple assistant chiefs for each shift or whatever. But I just stick with the common terminology that you're used to, the officers and assistant chief, if that's what you're used to.
And presenting it, I kept catching myself going back to the officers.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're used to.
I just recommend changing that.
I'm wondering if you're
I'm
wanting,
sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
are you really wanting to, tie yourself down to be forced to do 3 meetings a month? Would you be better off saying 2 or 3, something like that, so that you're not finding yourself in violation of your own ordinance because you didn't have a meeting a month?
The issue is that in all the years of being in the fire service, that I see people that will miss important stuff. We need to be able to hold them accountable. We get, just like last Wednesday, Aaron UE came down and did a very important training over gas responses. They actually did a live ignition of gas, exploding in a glass box and things like that. And there's certain people that could, just don't show up to things, and we need to be able to enforce it on them a little bit, because those are important things you need to be at. And like most things, you expect them to be there. The other side of it is it doesn't lock us in. It is at the discretion, where is that part of it? Where they could be otherwise arranged by the fire chief or his or her officers. I will change the deputy portion to officers, but it doesn't say we have to be there. They just need to get, communicate with the fire chief or one of the officers and say, look, I'm not going to be there. I have to work, things like that. People do have to work, and we're not going to penalize you for not having to work, but we need something to say, look, communicate.
I'm not so worried about the people showing up. I'm worried about the fact that putting the fire department in a place where they're in trouble if they don't have 3 meetings every month. So
I can tell you how we used to do it. We were due based. So like the members, it's kind of not really off topic, but it's to elaborate a little bit how we came. So if the members missed calls, they actually had to pay the fire department for missing. And we done away with that. But I don't think it'd be an issue. I
Just a thought along those same lines, you put a sentence in there that this is the plan, 3 regular meetings a month, unless excused by, or the meeting is excused by the chief. There's probably better language than that.
Well, if you go back to 205.062, number 1, absence from 50% or more regularly scheduled meetings or training work sessions during a calendar year, unless excused by the chief or for other just cause, could be, sick or dismissal. And that's pretty standard everywhere.
Have you ever canceled a meeting?
You do realize these are all volunteer.
I do.
That's,
But they're the same volunteers that they never show up to a meeting or a training that I have to fight on a fire scene with, that I put in responsible for other people.
why aren't they for these?
I think it's totally different issue.
Yeah.
I don't think it's an issue of accountability of the firefighter showing up to a meeting. I think the question, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the correct, are you tying yourself into 3 meetings a month?
Right.
But if that's something that you're historically always done,
That's how we've always done
okay, I think that.
it. I mean, they just have to
Give
meet
yourself some
percentage.
flexibility if you like it, but.
Yeah,
I'm gonna jump off. I about fell out of my chair when I read number 7 in section 205.065. And while we're not talking about money right now, that just jumped off the page. We're only paying them $13 to show up for a fire. You know, I was in the military. Now, I never worried about getting shot or blown up. Fire scared the hell out of me. And we're only paying them $13. Maybe in the future.
It's only getting 10.
Can we just raise that?
It's like just a few months.
Yeah. There's some getting raised.
I sure as hell wouldn't run in there for $13. You know, all I'm saying is maybe we need to revisit that. I mean, these guys are putting their lives on the line to walk in there just like police officers.
Jeremy, do you know what Bowling Green is? It's $17 a call and then per hour.
Whenever I resigned off of Bowling Green Fire Department, whenever I moved back to the city of Louisiana at 23, we were for our monthly trainings, we were getting a $20 rate for the display of the training, $25 for meeting, and $25 per call for the initial first hour. Excuse me, first hour. And then the city was a supplement extra $20 an hour after the initial hour per personnel on scene.
Let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, as a firefighter, do you rather take less to attend a training to get more for an incident?
Honestly, absolutely.
I know we talked about raising, have we raised it?
yes,
We're
we
gonna
got
use the 13, and we went from 10 to 13. Boy, I still see good.
So everything that's in 1 through 7 is what we currently have, established.
And the only reason I brought this up is I wanted to, as we're doing the budget, I'd like us to think about that. I mean, geez, running into a fire, you've done it, he's done it. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Would you want to do it? Not me. And I just don't think $13 is.
I think we can get this perfected by.
Yeah, I just wanted to.
I don't know if we have the budget to raise it, but it seems to me like raising it to something like at
We
least
can find
25. Yeah.
We'll find it.
But that's just.
Yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you.
if we do something like that, and I'm not opposed to doing that like that, then the training, it'd have to be, you know, they still get paid for training, but training on as much as like he's saying, something that should be, or it could be, if we're paying larger amount of the actual incident. But the biggest thing is for the training is attendance, because we don't want anyone that's not trained well to get involved in those type of incidents.
Yeah.
So even though their training hours may not be as highly paid, but the attendance and the requirements should be there. You know, to enforce that, you may already have that established, but.
And that's why I asked the question, you know, would you take less for a training allowance as opposed to getting more for putting it right?
Is this budget wise, is it possible to raise the allowance?
We'd have to, that's something we have to look at.
Okay.
One thing I want to look at too is historically the quarter-cent sales tax is earmarked for the fire department. I know we spend more than that annually for the fire department, so it's never been a question. But let's go back and look at the history of that when that was passed. I believe that was passed probably in the early 90s, I think, when that was passed, just by recollection.
That's a whole other discussion.
But anyway, but I'm pretty confident that we do surpass that quarter-cent sales tax. So, but it's gone up even though the quarter-cent sales tax hasn't gone up, the revenues have gone up. So let's make sure that it's following exactly what the revenues are doing with that.
I didn't mean to digress, but I just saw that number and I fell out of the chair.
Do you want to go over this? You want Cameron to go over this? Ordinance?
There's not much to it. We are submitting to change a couple of animal control ordinances.
Which one are we looking at, Cassie? Oh, never mind, I got it, thank you. I'm a little slow on the uptake tonight, I apologize.
You know, if I can, I asked Cameron this in the beginning. I don't know if it's before the meeting or during the meeting on this.
Yeah.
So the only, correct me if I'm wrong, Cameron, but the only things that are being changed is what's in bold print. So when we perfect this ordinance,
Mhm.
we will only show what's being changed, you know, in that subsection title and everything else. So you won't have all of this. To me, it's good for us to see this versus having to go and look it up in its entirety. But for the ordinance to perfect it, all we need to do is make the changes necessary in bold.
So in other words, we're only making one change, it looks like.
There's two.
Where's the, oh, guys, see it, never mind.
And then there's two on the first page, one on the second page, and that's it.
Okay, yeah.
I'd like to say this isn't part of what we noted to change, but down here where we've got the paragraph, a 1 year license for each dog and cat which has been spayed or neutered for the sum of $5, or a 1 year license for each dog and cat which has not been spayed or neutered for the sum of $35. What I would suggest that we might want to do there instead is that we have a license for each dog or cat which has been spayed or neutered for the original fee of $5, and thereafter they are not charged anything. Then that is an incentive for people to get the animal spayed or neutered, which is what we really want. $5 isn't going to make a whole lot of difference, but you got to give people incentives for going ahead and going to the vet and getting the cat spayed or neutered. And then I would say a 1 year license for each dog and cat which has not been spayed or neutered needs to go up in price to like $75. Because the whole purpose is to get them to do the vets to get this taken care of. The people that have done it should have some incentive for having done so.
So let me hear you correctly. So number one, instead of a 1 year license, you're saying if they have a cat or dog that is spayed or neutered, they pay a one-time fee for a lifetime
Of
license
that particular animal.
for that animal.
Right, so that they are registered that way.
Now, the only-
Selected Go to run the panel, correct? So we would be losing a lot of revenue.
So here's the only problem with that is, I mean, I agree with that to a degree, but the tags aren't just for whether or not they're spayed or neutered. It's also make sure that they comply with their rabies vaccination however often is it every year, every 2 years?
Every
I mean, that's one of the things.
Why couldn't we backdoor it and charge maybe $10 for the license? But if you show evidence that your dog or cat has been spayed or neutered, we drop it to $5. They get a $5 discount on the license.
We need
That
something.
incentivizes them to go ahead and have their animals spayed. But at the same time, we're not losing that revenue. You always pay the $5, but you get the you always pay the $10 you're billed for, but each year that the animal is spayed or neutered, you knock $5 off of that. I'm just throwing something out there.
Well, what I'm also saying is for the person that has a pet. It's the hassle factor of having to go and pay that easily $5.
They get their city tag with that too, and we don't provide those for free. So we have to pay for the city tag. City itself has to pay for the tag to give to the pet owner.
It's the annual hassle factor.
Yeah, so actually the $5 fee probably won't even hardly take care of this being How much does a tag cost?
A box of tags is $92,
And how many's in a box?
50 to 60.
And you're not covering the cost.
So I'm just wondering, because I really like the idea, of issuing a tag. And from that lifetime, you're gonna be invoiced every year.
Mhm.
Every year, you're gonna be invoiced for $10. And if you provide a copy of your rabies vaccination, you can deduct $5 from it.
Yeah.
And then we don't have to worry about the expiration of the tags and dealing with the tags, except when, for that animal, it'll stay with that animal for life.
So what happens to the $35 charge? Wasn't that from?
That's for an unaltered animal.
And
Cause I have four
I'd
house
say
dogs,
we
and you see
raise
paying
that.
$75 dog. No, I don't want to stay in there.
Well,
People don't pay it now, why would they pay it then?
Yeah, I would pay 35, if I pay 35 a piece for 4 dogs now, that's $140 I'm paying anyway, now you wanna jump it to 200 and.
Well, I
450?
don't necessarily, I mean, the $35 fee is debatable.
The reason I brought it up, I just thought the $35 fee was for a non-spay, but actually, I just couldn't hear.
It is for a
It is
non-spay.
for non-spade.
35 is for non-state.
Right.
That's what it is now.
Yeah,
So then you're gonna do away with the 35 and then just do.
No. So I'll go over it one more time.
No, this would be for a spayed or neutered animal that we're talking about.
So if you have an animal. Currently, if you have an animal for 1 year license for each dog that which has been spayed or neutered for the sum of $5. That's it.
anything. He's pulling this out of the blue.
Okay. But anyway, I like the idea that it's really up to the. Did you have something?
It's 35 for the spay, for the
Well,
spay.
To get the animal
For the
spayed
spayed
and
is
neutered or
fine.
not. If
And
we
for the
are,
non-spayed,
then you
it's
need to make it
35.
expensive enough to make people.
And that's what it is now. And
If
yeah,
they aren't, we aren't really serious about it, then why have it? And we aren't really serious about it because we also don't pick people.
Right.
So rather than say we're serious, just
Do it.
go away with it. Or get serious about it and put a number on it to make people step back and say, hey, wait a second. And also, if they're don't have the license and if they don't have the tag, then they get tickets and the ticket could be more than that. But it's high idea of having ordinance for everything, but we don't really pay attention to 99 out of 100. Get rid of the 99 then.
Right.
Yeah, I would, unspayed animals in this town have been a problem for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we serious about it or not?
it's
And-
not, excuse me.
And all I'm saying is that I think $75 is steep.
It's the dogs, it's the dog.
And if, let's say you're a breeder or something like that, you could always make exceptions to that. But,
We're not gonna have problems on $75.
yeah, I understand. But what I'm saying is that we've got to get a handle on some of this stuff. And we've been talking about it as long as I've been around here. And I think, which was correct. We take lip service to wanting to solve the problem, but we don't. This is at least a way to solve it. I would feel more comfortable with something like 50. I think 75 is steep, but I don't know what the magic number is. But we have to do something about these unspayed animals running around, out of control
Quite honestly, and it's mostly cats. It's the cat problem.
or whatever.
We had 10 cats in our yard this morning, and we have no food outside for them to eat.
I know,
But
they're up in my
we
yard.
can't do anything with
I've
it.
never had them.
One thing I will say is typically those aren't cats that are licensed, those are strays.
Yeah,
Whatever, so in changing the fee would not affect us.
no,
Cats can't take that.
that is a bigger problem than $35.
Okay,
That's why they call us a work session.
so let's, before we continue on license fee and whether or not the animal spayed or neutered, let's look at the actual changes that's been presented. Are there any questions on what's been presented?
When we go to Article 3A, every dog or cat except community cats. What the heck is a community cat?
it's a stray cat.
Well, why shouldn't it
It's
be every
it's an
dog or cat?
unowned cat.
Why is there a special subheading for community
Because at
cats?
one point in time, we had a TNR program in this town and they were going around and they were trying to spay and neuter the unowned cats to try and help with the cat population.
So currently, that section A, instead of 1 week, what is it currently, 2 weeks now?
Section A.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Currently, it's 2 weeks and we're looking to change it to 1 week. Yeah, second page. Now to answer your question, to give a little bit more detail, the community cats. A community cat would have their ears tipped, and it's identifiable as being registered with a, with a, with a caregiver. If the cat doesn't have a tipped ear, it's not a community cat. So.
Well,
why
it's
is there-
not been.
why is there a
it's not been
special
spayed or
subheading?
neutered.
Yeah.
Isn't it every dog or cat found running at large within the city shall be impounded within the city pound? And then therefore, but if you're saying it's a special category called community cat. Well, the community cat then, the way this reads, is free to go and do anything they want to,
Well,
and they can't be picked up.
they're a feral cat essentially.
Yeah, I
that has
understand
been
that, but by
trapped
the wording of
and
this,
neutered.
you're saying that those feral cats are absolutely out of bounds, we can't touch them. The way this
Well, what would you
reads,
suggest we do with them?
I'm saying get rid of except community cats. So that they aren't out of bounds, we can do something with them.
What would you suggest we do with them once we get
Well,
them?
it says it right here, what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to put them in a shelter for 1 week unless someone claims, and if they aren't claimed, then it jumps down here to. We have to dispose of them of one of 3 ways.
So
Basically, the way it's worded right now, if it's a feral cat, we can't do a damn thing to them.
So right now, we do have cats that we've captured. And we've done a pretty good job of getting them rescued as well. And we haven't euthanized any cats, to my knowledge.
I think in 2025, we euthanized 2 that were
Sick.
ill.
Yep.
Really ill,
So it would be,
Yeah, I think you gotta take the community cats out of there. It is just, it's a huge exception because what I've seen, it's just based on anecdotal evidence and being in a couple of meetings, everybody's gonna argue it's a community cat.
You can't touch it, it's a community cat, right?
Community cat, well, we can't prove that its ear's been hit or whatever they do,
Well, even if it is,
because we can't catch it.
it doesn't matter.
Well, you can
Because it's a
see
community
that their ears been tipped from a distance.
Well,
They cut
And I'm
it
not a
straight.
community cat expert, but.
And if I had a cat and I didn't want to take care of it, and I didn't want to have to pay for registering it, et cetera, I just take it down and get a clip here real fast. Now I'm okay, do anything you want to with community cat.
It's going into the basement.
I just filled it up. I went to track home
Should I just run out?
and then sat at the river.
Find the mute button, guys.
CIA. And I'm not anti-animal, I wanna help these animals, okay, but we also have a public health problem with these cats. And we gotta do something about it. And it's been an issue for years, and sometimes you gotta make tough calls.
so what I'll ask the council then, and I'll put this on Cameron. What you have highlighted here, go ahead and perfect the ordinance, the bill, and address the specific items you have highlighted in bold. And address an ordinance to that effect.
Okay.
And then council, as far as any other changes, give that to Cameron to attach to it as well, the specific language that you'd like to see. What we can do is we can break it down. I think everything that's in that's currently in here can be under one ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay. ordinance change, anything else, just. It'll have to come back to this council for approval, but. I wanna break it up. I don't wanna stop what's right here. And over a debate over spade or neutered, or a debate over community cat.
And
This is.
And Mr. Mayor, there is a animal control meeting on 30th at 6 p.m. For anybody that'd like to come and maybe, brainstorm as to what we can do as far as everything else.
And I'm in agreement too, as far as spade neutering. I love the idea of a lifetime fee for a tag and thereafter be billed $10 without even having to get a tag. You're gonna get a bill, and if you provide proof of your rabies, you'll get reimbursed $5. If you don't provide proof, go come knocking on your door, wanting to see it, and then you might get a citation on top of the $10.
Yeah, I mean, that's.
I don't have any problem with the 1 week change or the stuff that's involved. But I do think that the way that we got it right now, we're not addressing the problem of the feral cat.
Come to the meeting.
Well, I've said what I have to say. I've already said it. There's nothing to add to it.
All right. So you got your assignment?
I think so, yes.
All right. All right, economic development.
I have nothing right now. I'm working on a couple of things, but since the committee was kind of in flux because of past events and membership, I haven't had a chance. And I've had some health stuff going on, so hopefully we can have a meeting here shortly. Kind of start focusing on some things.
Has everything died down on the other? Okay.
Yeah, we're on top of it. If we're talking about the same thing, we talking about the same thing?
I think we are.
Yeah, okay.
Tourism, housing, health, senior services. Enterprise, public works.
Nothing.
We got a meeting on the 27th, right? 3rd, 5:30.
For what now?
That's a public hearing.
Okay, for the utilities.
Community, employee relations,
Nothing.
animal control.
All right, discuss it.
Got a meeting Thursday. Right?
No,
I'm sorry, I didn't.
When's the animal control meeting?
The
30th.
30th.
That's it.
Trickle
I have nothing.
miscellaneous business?
Yeah, one thing, I've been talking to people we talked about last time, some sort of recognition for the Louisiana Clopton girls swim team. I'm in the process of getting all that information together, getting it to camera. We're gonna hopefully issue some kind of proclamation. Or a nice certificate we could hang on the wire or whatever. And I'm hoping to have all the members here, the coach and all that, so we can really recognize it. It was a really big deal what they did. So hopefully that will take place the next regular council. We'll have all that together.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all very good. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Opposed, like sign. Go cancel this meeting for the special.
Okay.